Good morning, good morning. Here we are. Garbage man's busy down there. Doesn't have his fancy blue truck today. I guess somebody else is using it. He's got the old green one. They've got three of them, a blue one, this green one, and a white beater. It's the guy cleaning up the garbage from the Korean restaurant down the street. And we have a cherry tree. It's too bad it's overcast this morning because that tree was looking really nice in the sunshine yesterday. Over on the right-hand side there. It's not the same kind of cherry we see all over most of Japan. Those are Yoshino sakura. This is what's called a Jugatsu sakura, an October cherry. And it's not very healthy. The left-hand side is a big, large, dead branch there. It's only got one side is alive at the moment. It's really not healthy. I don't know if it's totally dead or if it's just sick. I don't know. And what might happen, usually what happens in this case is when the city comes along, they won't try and fix it. They'll just pull it out and plant a new sapling. We'll see what happens. It's a Jugatsu sakura, October cherry. It blooms twice a year, in October and in March. And as with everything else around here this year, we are early. It's early. And 8 o'clock. Construction starting somewhere. It's the coffee shop across the street. Those of you who have been here before might remember there's the hotel across the street. We can't see it with this camera angle. And on the first floor of the hotel, facing the street, is a small coffee shop / restaurant. It closed while I was away in Canada. I didn't know anything about this. It closed. And the windows are all boarded up. They're covered up on the inside. And they're at it. And they threw out tons and tons of stuff. They've gutted it right to the framework. And they're building something new. I've got the audio from outside turned off. What you're hearing is what I'm hearing in the room here. So, another Kobe beef restaurant. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe I would be surprised. It wouldn't be that much of a shock if there was another one across the street. They're playing the old Starbucks game, you know, whatever. Saturate the whole town and let the best man win. So, whatever, nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do. Okay, what's the work today? It isn't what I had planned at all. We were going to, I thought it was going to be really cool to fix that block, the one I showed you the other day that Kubota-san accidentally damaged. We will do that, and we will do it on stream, but not today. As is very frequent here, something has come up. Come on, camera. I was going to look at the white balance, but it's not worth fooling around with. Come on, camera, go back to normal. Go back to standby. I think the menu will cut in a minute. Anyway, as I said, something else has come up. The camera will come back in a minute, just relax. Upstairs, Ishikawa-san has been working on a version of, come on, camera. Is it not going to go back to the view here? What have I done? I've broken it. Ishikawa-san has been working on a version of the Akino Miyajima. This is a Chiyokoitsu image from, what's the date? Showa 11. Showa 11. I don't remember exactly. Late 1930s. And we've been pretty well from it. These are not our blocks. These are Doi Hanga blocks. Doi Hanga owns the blocks, and we borrow them, we make prints from them, and we pay them a block rental. They never actually see the prints. They don't even give us a sample. When we first started doing this, we go out on the net, we find lots of samples of old prints, pick and choose, try and find a good version of it. So this is our printing from the old Doi blocks. Anyway, Ishikawa-san, who has yet to do something this large, she put her hand up, can she try? So she's doing now, she's actually upstairs as we speak. She's been doing some test printing. I've got her first test print here. She wouldn't want me to show it all in detail because this is not a nicely finished print. It's not bad, it's looking pretty good, but there are things in it that are not yet right yet. She's got some registration issues in a couple of places, and maybe the sky is not as deep as it could be, stuff like that. But what she has found is she's having trouble with one of the old blocks, the block that is used for this mountain in the distance. And if we zoom in here, this version you're looking at here is from Kubota-san, and seems pretty much okay. There's a bit of texture in the mountain here, but it looks all right. If we put in Ishikawa-san's test print, we see something. There are a number of places on this wood where the wood has now started to give up. It's actually old, and it's sort of actually rotting out. And there are now holes and streaks in that wood. I've got it here. Here is that area, and you can see perhaps part of the issue. It's places where the wood grain was harder than in other places, but those places have now started to crumble. And maybe you can't, I can feel it. I can feel an actual hole in the wood here. Now, when Kubota-san printed these blocks some months back, he is very, very, very experienced. He had the same issue, but he has, a ton of experience, and he can get it to the point where it really wasn't noticeable. Now, this is no insult to Ishikawa-san. She's been at this 10, 12 years. Kubota-san's been at it, you tell me, whatever, 50 million years. So she really wasn't able to print this, and she came to me and said, what shall we do? We chatted with about how we could maybe print it more smoothly. Don't press quite so hard, put a bit more paste on this, do 2 copies light rather than 1 copy heavy. We went through a number of issues that would maybe fix this, but all in all, it wasn't able to be done. So in the interest of having this block set usable for another bunch of years, she and I decided, let's do this. We'll leave this one alone, but I will cut a new block for this area, just so we can print this thing without struggling, and so the prints will be a better quality of finished print. Now, this is not my block set. We're sort of doing this as a little gifty to the Doi Hanga company, but it benefits us too as well. They themselves are not even using this these days. In fact, this block set, we've already done that with one of the blocks before. We did this years ago. I think when we first got this block set from them, the sky block was split. There was a big split in it that showed a streak here. And we cut a new block for the sky and threw it into the set. And we've been using that block ever since then. So we're going to do the same thing again today. Now, what I do is I don't have handy a whole large piece of wood that would cover all these areas. Look at this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different color areas on this one piece of wood. There are 2 sets of registration marks. One set of registration marks here for these bottom areas, and for these 2, and then this set of registration marks to do this area. And to make this happen, they stuck on an extra little piece of wood at the end, jammed it on to make room for a registration mark so that this could be printed. When the paper is being, here, let me grab the sheet. I should zoom out a bit more, you can see what's going on. So when the printer is printing this area, for example, the paper goes in these registration marks, these 2 places, 1, 2, and print this stuff. When it's time to print this blue area, the paper goes in these 2 registration marks, 1, 2, and you print this zone here. Rather than you leave that place empty and start a new block for this. So whoever did the original color layout and color breakdown back in the 1930s, fixed it's like a jigsaw puzzle. They tried to figure out as much as possible how they could utilize every scrap of this wood. On the back side, we have just two. 1, 2. And we have a terrible, this will be why we rejected this. We have you can probably see it if I find the right zone. Hang on a sec. Look at this, there you are. There's the sky block. I said it was split, I was remembering wrong. It wasn't, it just had this huge, the wood is just starting to rot away. It's so old, from the 1930s. So this was unusable. And we cut a new piece to replace it. And now we're going to do the same thing with the back side. It's also really, they didn't choose good wood. This is Nashimoyo. This, I forget the name of it. Somebody, last time we talked about this, somebody gave me there's an English name for this kind of a grain pattern. It might look really nice on the back of a violin, but it's terrible for woodblock printing. This kind of grain pattern easily transfers to the print. I would never have chosen this block unless I was absolutely desperate and had nothing else available. Okay, so in order to be able to cut a new block to replace this, we need to figure out the shape of the gate, the shrine gate that's standing in the water. So I'm going to put this block away for a minute. We're going to pull in the key block. And I've got ready a sheet of our standard Gampi transfer paper, and I'm going to print this area and transfer it to a new piece of wood. You've seen this part of the process many times. But this key block, look at this. This is what, 1936 or something, is it? Almost as old as I am. Look at the mess here. There's a registration corner. And what is happening here? I can't move any farther because the camera's in the way. What they did, the nitwits who made this print, and I can't believe what I'm seeing here, they used a jointed block. One piece of wood this big, yay big, and another piece of wood this big. And they literally nailed them together. And of course, over the years, the two pieces of wood have shrunk at different rates, different feelings. There's some glue has been shoved in here. It must have been taken off and put back and glued again, because there's shiny glue here on top of the pigment. It might have been glued and nailed together originally. Then it's come apart and put back together. There's an insert here, clumsily done. Look at this. It's an absolute disaster. And there's just no way you would do this. But here it is. Who was responsible for this? Why they did this? Why they didn't use the best piece of wood available? I guess they just couldn't see that this thing was still going to be used nearly 100 years in the future. Maybe they were just thinking short term. I have no idea. Okay, so now today what I have to do now is, as I said, we've got our patented 2-layer paper, Gampi on top of a backing sheet. And I need to print now very, very, very carefully, getting the registration as perfect as I can. I need to print that Tori gate, the shrine gate, because that's the area that we need to transfer. This is not adachi, this is doi hanga. Nothing to do with adachi. This is the only area we need. To replicate that color block, we need a few things. We need the outlines of the torii gate, and we need, okay, let me just first, we'll look at it step by step as we go through here, just a sec. We don't need any of the rest of the paper at all. It's irrelevant to us. Okay, the key block now goes away, goes back to sleep. What a mess. My God, what a mess. Here's the rain block. This is the block for the rain. Now, we need to go back to the original block for this area. And we need to identify the edge of the hill, the mountain. Now, the edge of the mountain is not on the key block, nor is the horizon line. When they first made this set of blocks, the horizon line was probably on the key block. That would allow them to carve a block for the sea and a block for the mountain and decide where it was. Then once those color blocks were made, the line would have been cut off the key block. But it's gone now. There's nothing I can do. So what I will do, I will use the previous block to show me where those two lines are. John's saying, well, why not just pull an impression right from the color block? I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I'd rather go back to the key, because the key is the absolute defining place here. That color block shrunk. In fact, yeah, let's look at this. In fact, here we are. Here we go, John. Here's why we don't do this. Here's Ishikawa-san's test print. It's not lining up properly. So the color block actually has shrunken or swollen a little bit. And for me to use the color block, it's like copying A to B and then B to C and C to D. Instead of me going B to C, I'm going right back to A, and I go right back to the key block. It's much, much, much more important. That key block maybe has swelled or shrunk, we don't know. So always, as much as possible, back to the original. Instead of, it's the telephone game, A, B, B, C, C, D. Now, me too. I am struggling to find good pieces of wood to do all this. So have I got the gorgeous, most wonderful piece of wood that we're going to use to replicate this block? No. And in fact, because Mokuhankan has yet today, we've never published a piece of a print this large. We've never published a Mitsugiriban print. I have no wood upstairs in my storehouse. None at all. So what I'm going to do, I have wood from my Ukiyo-e Heroes prints, and you've seen how this is going to work. You already saw the block they used to print this wasn't actually this long. It was only this long. That's where the registration mark was, right? So I just need another block the same length as this. So I don't need to use a whole Mitsugiriban. I'm not worried about replicating all these other areas. So all I need is a block big enough to carve a registration mark at the bottom here and to have room for this. But what I didn't have was a block that was wide enough. These Mitsugiriban prints are wide, and I've got some wood upstairs that did for our Ukiyo-e Heroes series. So I'm going to do something similar to what we just saw me castigate those for. I have glued together. I have got one of our good blocks from Ukiyo-e Heroes, and I've glued a little strip on the side. Now, why am I doing something that's awful and not permitted, and I just yelled at the other guys for doing the same thing? This glued part is not in the image at all. The image is this area, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the registration mark out there on the glued part, and the image will fall, of course, completely within the actual piece of wood itself. No deal. And even, for example, if my glue fails and this thing fell off, or if it warped, or if it chipped, or if it bowed away or something, it wouldn't matter. The main area is okay. And the next time we need to print it, a printer could do anything. He could just stick a piece of anything on there, find the registration mark, and away he goes. Now I can't use my little clip here, my usual little thing, because that would move it too far away and it wouldn't fit. So I'm just going to cut freehand today's registration mark. What? No nails? Nope, I didn't put any nails in. I don't care. It doesn't matter if it fell off. You could just put it back on. It wouldn't make any difference. What's this? What language do I use? What are we talking about? The programming. I don't really want to get sidetracked. Anyway, the computer programming these days, our manager system is built in a double system. In the browser, it runs JavaScript and, the usual HTML stuff. And on the server side, I'm using a standard LAMP stack. The code is mostly PHP. Okay, Dave, constraint. Now, one thing that I didn't take note of, where is the skate? That's important. It's quite a long way away. It's up here. it's not going to be that far because we don't have that much, so just put up the end. Okay. Fair comment and fair game, the comment here. When somebody 100 years from now is looking at this, what did that idiot do? Fair game. That's all we need. Two very small. And to go back again to these other blocks, the registration marks. This is another chance for us actually to look at this and talk about this. I've just carved a couple of very small, sort of trivial registration marks. Is that okay? Those little tiny little corners that I just cut. Is that okay to make this woodblock print? The bigger the registration marks are, the harder they are to handle. Keeping them small, within reason. Can I get the angle here right? I'm trying to find here. This is one of the registration marks from the original wood here, and it has been chopped and crapped and chopped and banged up. I don't know if you can even see where it is. There's too much brightness. I know. Here we are. Look at this. There's little shims in there. People have painted it white so that they can see it clearly against the wood, against the pigment. It's an absolute mess. Look at the shims. There's a forest of shims in there because these color blocks swell and shrink and swell and shrink. A registration mark is not some inviolable, never to be changed, never touched, never changes thing. It's a flexible, always changing object. The printer has his kentonomi standing by his side, and on an old set of blocks like this, you're using it all day long. You might get it set for the first couple of prints, and then after 5 prints or something, or 6 or 7 or 10, oh my God, the blocks have already swollen, they're warping a little bit, and you've got to move the registration mark yet again. They go back and forth and back and forth. You think these are bad. You should see the registration marks on our Great Wave set. Incredible. They're just that bad now. They're just as bad as that. A thicket of shims and cuts. We're almost at the point now, in fact, I probably would do this. Next time she sends the Great Wave blocks back to me for a checkup and for maintenance, it might now be time to do that, to slice off the wood, put a new piece of wood in, and cut a new set of registration marks. And if we do that, that will have to be part 18 or something of that video set. Of course we would video that. Okay, before I paste her down, let's make sure I know what I'm doing. It's funny, you know, the actual horizon on this thing is distant, but then there's a jog in front of it where this town is. I guess the base blue here is so indistinct that it really doesn't matter, because that horizon line chops right through some of this town. Let's just follow the pattern, follow the original pattern. It's always funny, you know, to be doing exactly the same thing, exactly the same job with exactly the same tools as some dude did back in 1935, you know. Somebody did this. He wasn't using a marker like the one I'm using. He would have been using a brush and a vermilion ink. And he had to be careful because he was using ink, if he used too much of it, the liquid in the ink would cause the paper to swell and expand. That's why I'm not filling in this completely all the way, just enough to show me where to go. The more fluid and whatever I put on this sheet of paper, the more it's likely to expand and play games. And we don't want that. So that's why I'm using a marker like this. It's not water, it's not liquid. And the paper doesn't swell up so much. Visitors, do we know who they are? Are they gonna? No? What language are they speaking? Could you hear it? Okay, are we okay? Have I forgotten anything, or have I misinterpreted the ins and outs or something? Are we okay? There's a question, the underneath parts of these, should that be showing through or not? And on the original, no. It's brown all the way. So there's no gap showing through. I learned about this, this gate at this place down near Hiroshima. And I didn't know this, but the gate is not actually embedded in the ground. These posts are not driven into the ground. When they did a renovation for it a while ago, at low tide, people were walking out there to see it. And this thing, this gate, is just standing, pochunk, on a flat seabed. It's not driven into the ground at all. That's why there's two things to make it happen. Each one has a sort of outrigger, so the thing is standing, so it won't fall forward or back. And the second is, and Sadako saw this when they were out there, the top here is not wood, it's hollow. And it's full of the heaviest stones they could find. It's heavily weighted to make the thing stand flat on the seabed. Well, I thought this would have been a bit iffy. Along comes a typhoon, and surely these outriggers are not going to be enough. But there it is. It's just standing on the seabed. And the tourists and Sadako and the other people that were out there who could see this during the renovation last year, I thought stones up there would make it more likely to fall over, but I'm just repeating what I'm told. It's not driven into the seabed. It's just standing there. So I'm told. Okay, I think we are now ready to paste it down and start carving. I've never been down there. I've never seen this. I've never been to that part of Japan. Farthest west I've been on the mainland is Kurashiki. We went to Shikoku, then came back over the hovercraft to somewhere near Okayama, in Okayama Prefecture. Went to see Himeji Castle, and then came back. I've never been farther west on the mainland. I've never been farther west than Himeji. We did fly down to Kyushu. I've been to Oita Prefecture once, but I've never been to Kumamoto, never been to Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Those places are foreign to me. Maybe one day. Looking good. I have, of course, chosen a piece that has the minimum of distraction. It's not perfect, but we don't have anywhere in town here. We don't have perfect pieces of wood. That island there where that shrine is, maybe somebody else, John here, I think he knows more about these things, he's a tour guide sort of person. I think that shrine down there, I have in mind, maybe this might be wrong, is that it's one of those places where they didn't used to allow women or something on that island, and it was only men could go across there. Is that, or am I confusing it with somewhere else? I don't know. Nowadays, that sort of thing, I guess, is obviously long gone. But I think it was something like that. I don't know. There's probably lots of information here. As I said, I've never been there. Don't really have any intention or plan to go down there. I'm busy, busy, busy. Got to get the right amount of glue here. I'm not used to having a block this large, you know. It's funny. I usually use our little dinky blocks, but... let's lay this down. Whistling, whistling. Must be trucks backing up. Again, the construction. Always construction. Kind of. Not a tour guide. No, I didn't mean literally a tour guide. What I meant was somebody knowledgeable about that kind of stuff, whatever. It took you a while to find the arrow. Interesting comment. Somebody says, hope you're living the dream, Mr. Bull. If not, lean on being nobody but yourself. It's really, really funny you should say that right now. Really, really funny. There's a meeting happening today, 9:30, 10 o'clock. The staff here, while I've been away, have been like discussing stuff or whatever. I don't even know, but whatever. We have a meeting today. One of the staff members sent me an email the other day. I'm not going to disclose too much of this publicly, but one of the staff members sent an email the other day with a list of Dave's character defects, to put it mildly. How much I had badly hurt this person and their family and everybody else here. We have a real difference of opinion about some of this, about what it means to be a Canadian and a foreigner and speak to people, what it means to be a Japanese person, what it means to be a boss, to be an employee, to be a sometimes person who wants results. We have lots of different ways to look at these things, and they've called a meeting to discuss these issues. But what they want is, of course, they want me to apologize and promise to be a good boy and all this kind of shit. So it's going to be a very interesting meeting this morning. What was that comment that somebody just wrote? And it's really, really relevant to this. Hope you're living the dream. I have a good, happy, wonderful life, which I have built with the help of a lot of amazing people. But if not, lean on being nobody but yourself. And this is kind of the nub of the issue. Parts of my character are clearly abrasive to some of the people here. As I said, part of it is male-female, part of it is cultural, Canadian versus Japanese. Part of it is power. I'm in power and they're not in power. This is not coming well here. I don't know what Gumpy. The Gumpy I used here is a... Anyway, let's just get this done. Sorry. So we have a meeting. They love meetings. Whoa, do we have a clear, look at, oh, there we go. Do we have a clear cut now? Very nice. You say, Dave and abrasive, two words I thought I wouldn't hear together. You know, I can be, clearly, you know, I'm a, whatever, I'm no Steve Jobs or something like this. My God, we don't send people crying into the, you know, into the night. But yeah, I want stuff done my way. Of course I do. You know, you don't see that aspect of me here on the stream because we're just sitting here chatting. But I want stuff done a certain way. Sometimes there's blowback on that, pushback on that. And it's sort of the same thing is here. From one point of view, I think I'm being firm. And from the other person's point of view, this is maybe harassment. I don't know. It's all different point of view. Another aspect of it is banter. I do a lot of banter, or not so much with the staff, because I've learned how dangerous it is. People will come in the shop, and somebody, maybe it's an Australian or a Brit or something, whatever, you know, they'll say hello and I'll say hello. And it turns out like 10 seconds later, we're sort of insulting each other with this sort of, you know, funny banter that's going on. And the Japanese staff is like, did he really just say what I thought he just said? Stuff like this. So things that I might say in banter when we speak in English, of course, I've learned years and years and years and years ago, don't just translate the Japanese and say it because it doesn't work. But they hear this and they see me doing stuff that they think, oh my God, he's such an awful person. How could he say those things? Anyway. Didn't sleep much last night thinking about this damn thing. But anyway, okay, let's do some actual work. What time is it now? 8:49. We're not going to be able to finish this today, and she needs it later this afternoon. So, or at least tomorrow. What's today? Thursday. She wants to get this going. So we're going to see me start this now. We won't be seeing it finished because I can't wait until the next stream, I think, to finish this. I'll check with her, whatever. I'll start carving now, and then we'll see. But my guess is that you won't be seeing the end result of this because I think she needs it quite soon. We'll see how it goes. No, someone says, you just got back, I had no time to offend. There's offenses. One of the staff yesterday, when I was asking her, like, what's this all about? She said, well, for example, you said blah, 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 blah. And it was an episode from more than 8 years ago. So, I don't know. I shouldn't talk too much about this. Everybody's honest. Everybody has their own opinion. And it's okay. I will listen as carefully as I can. But at the end of the day, I am who I am. And I am really, I can't change too much. Okay, let's get this done. Let's find our spot. If we start carving right there, that means the camera comes here. Are we good to, oh, lights, camera, action, bingo. That's what we need. Are we okay? So somebody's talking about this, the banter thing. Overly familiar with the wrong person could be seen as abrasive. Absolutely. And I have overstepped the line sometimes. You know, you try and read the room. You try and read the person when somebody comes in. And usually I sort of wait a little bit. If they're a friendly and open person, whatever, I can edge a little bit in. And you see how it goes. But absolutely, I've made mistakes this way. I can't remember a specific example, but like I would maybe have a good conversation with somebody with an X amount of banter. They leave and I'm in that mood. Next person comes in. And you sort of try and it doesn't work. And oops, what did I just say? And that person's face goes a bit cold and you realize I said something I shouldn't have said. And stop digging, you know, whatever. So yeah, whatever, things are things. Okay, enough of that. Let's do some work. So this piece of wood that's been sitting upstairs on the shelf here, we haven't made ukiyo-e prints, ukiyo-e heroes prints now for a few years. There are 17 prints at the moment in the ukiyo-e heroes series, I would really like to get a few more done so that we can call it 20 and make a couple of books about that. So we have some wood upstairs that is waiting. This is one piece of it that is waiting to be used for upcoming Ukiyo Heroes prints. And last night when I was getting ready for this stream, I went up there trying to find a piece of wood suitable for this block. And that's the shelf I went to because of the size, the dimension. And this little piece of wood got pulled out of the stack, and here he is being cut and used. So his fate, this piece of wood, is not to be used in one of our Ukiyo Heroes prints, but to be used to patch up an old set of doi hanga blocks. And when this job is finished, we'll be wrapping him up, throwing him on the Takubin service, and he will be leaving Mokuhankan. So this piece of wood, is he either happy to be heading out into the wild, or is he sad to be kicked out of our company, or whatever? Well, whatever, but he will be used, this piece of wood will be used to make beautiful prints that are going to live for a couple of 100 years at least. So any piece of wood, if he had a choice about it, should, I think, be happy to be coming into production like this. The prints made from this are going to live longer than the tree it came from. They're going to live longer than the piece of wood would survive by itself. What's not to like? What tool are we hearing? A sanding? Is it a sander? I don't know what they're doing over there. Someone's talking about 500 years. I think that's a bit high. None of the trees we're using are going to be that kind of an aged tree. A cherry tree is typically actually a normal cherry these days. It won't run 100 years, 60, 80 or so is what I understand they would come down at. So the raw wood would have maybe grown for, if we're going to be, stretching it, let's say 100 years, but I don't think so. And then it has to be dried for X number of years and then used. And it could survive as a wood block. Well, as we see, the block set that we're using here, it's going on for 100 years now. So if we think that way, the tree had 100 years growing. Once it came down, it was made into wood blocks, which have now been in existence for 100 years. The print we are now going to make from those blocks, if taken care of properly, and if not destroyed by accident, will do 100 years. The washi paper will easily last 100 years. More than that, 50, 200 years. So all in all, we'd be looking at least a 400-year lifespan, I think, from seed in the ground, growing a tree, to the point where the finished print starts to decay too much, I think that's pretty good, 400 years. How many generations is that? Oh, somebody coming in. Is it that time? Is it 9 o'clock? Yeah, no visit this morning. Okay, I know we should mention show and tell. I'm carving on this block here, but I do have still, of course, show and tell stuff. I have tons of it. We have a lot of show and tell things left over from the other day. Remember, I had a bunch on the desk here, and I said, let's dig through a bunch of them. We didn't even get through half of it. So we do have show and tell material today. Maybe we just have a normal. I'll go here. I'll keep carving here till about 9:15 maybe, and then we will take a break and look at some prints. Oh, good morning, good morning. I heard footsteps going upstairs. I thought that was you. I don't know. Was it Yamada-san or somebody?
If it's a big footstep, that's Yamada-san.
Yamada-san, maybe. Okay, so I got wood blocks here. Just a minute. Careful, careful. Old, ancient Doihanga wood blocks in the way here. Sorry.
Surgery, this guy?
No, it's replacement. No, cutting into. I don't. Yeah, you probably didn't hear about this. So I'll show you later. I know one of the blocks Ishikawa-san's trying to use really just doesn't work well anymore. It's the wood has given up and it's got too old. Kubota-san was able to use it, but you know, people with less experience, maybe even me if I was trying to do this. So I'm carving a new block. You can see here. Complete. Well, we've done this before. Remember, you probably don't know about that either. Before you joined us, this sky block for this print has a hole in it, so we had to carve a new one. So yeah, we did talk about it. So.
And then she doesn't know that.
She doesn't even know or care. So it's happening again. What I'm going to do this time, I'm going to keep it here.
Okay.
Her problem.
Just going to return the old blocks.
Return the old blocks. So exactly. Keep it here. Hello, how you doing?
I'm good.
Did you walk today from Ueno again, or take the train?
Every day I walk from Ueno.
How far is it? It's about what, 2 kilometers? I don't know. How far from here to Ueno?
I don't know the kilometers, but
it's 2 subway stations.
20 minutes walk. 20
so maybe 1.5 kilometers. Good exercise to show in the morning. Yeah. It depends on the weather, of course, though.
Yeah, I really don't mind only when it's raining. You know, I don't mind walking in rain. I just wear rain boots and sometimes wear umbrella and rain jackets too.
Lots of good mornings here. Look at this.
Ohayou
Lots of good mornings.
What bothers me now though is allergy season.
Oh, it's starting. It's starting.
It already started, like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah. That was the windy days to show those last couple of windy. Boom.
Right, so I'm wearing the protection glasses.
So can we see that just so we know? Is it okay?
They sold them last year.
Maybe do you remember this? They're glasses that have sort of plastic covers around the outside. Is it clear plastic or are they prescription glasses?
Just clear plastic.
Just they cover your nose. Yeah.
I can change the lenses.
So the idea, obviously, to try and keep, my glasses are open here. So the idea is to keep, air.
Yeah. And I don't prefer wearing a mask, but
I have to. But these are not tight goggles, but
Not really, but it cuts according to their research, 60%, 70% of pollen.
Is this sugi for you?
Sugi,
Butagusa,
hinoki too. Okay. So sugi comes first and then followed by
It's
hinoki.
the cedar trees, and there's huge amounts of cedar trees surrounding Tokyo. This was the kind of stuff that they used to grow for making houses here in Japan, so they grow them everywhere. These days, they're not being used for that. The wood is now imported from Australia or Canada or something. But
the government finally decided to reduce pollen this year.
There is a campaign.
That plan to cut off the trees and then plant another tree which has less pollen.
But it's going to take a generation to make this switch. They're going to ravage these old cedar trees which are not being used and let a more natural forest grow back. Instead of all the cedars being in a row, a more zokibayashi, a more natural forest with oak trees and stuff like that.
It must be worse in Ome. So, I was going to say, let's go to Ome together again.
You don't want to go? Hi. The thing, when I first came to Japan, this hit me every spring so hard. It hit me like a brick. I couldn't carve. There's just water pouring from my nose. You're sort of trying to hold your nose and carve and sneeze. But now I'm too old, and it's past, The older we get, the immune system gets weaker, doesn't fight the stuff. Your immune system, I guess, just gives up,
But you guys just nose,
it was, our eyes got red and nose ran. It was the same, it was all in this area.
I get sore throats too, so it's really...
Oh, really? I never had that. Yeah.
yeah, protect.
The one little benefit of getting older is your immune system gets weaker. It's funny, you don't see grandmas and granddads. You don't see older people with hay fever.
まあそうですね。そうですね。So 30, 40 years later,
Yeah, you're
no more pollen allergy, hay fever.
So people over there too, yeah, You're talking about air filters. I don't know, we haven't got a filter or something for the building here, but it's not so bad indoors here where we are.
Indoors, not. People will bring some pollen in when they come in, from outside, but it's not so bad.
And of course, where we are, we're really a long way away from a whole group of cedar trees. As she said, out in Ome, you can do things. You'd be going down the street and there's a gust of wind blow some trees, and you see this sort of yellow cloud actually comes away from the mountainside, and the wind then disperses it. You can see this. And the car, so your car hood, you put your finger in it, and it's a black car, and there it is. Your finger can write in the pollen dust on the car, and that's no exaggeration. So. Hey.
Now, windy days, there have to be careful.
So that's this job Ishikawa-san. She's waiting for this now. So do we know what time everything's happening today? Aoyama-san's coming. We don't know, or something. Having a meeting this morning.
He said he'll come on normal time.
Normal time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can't finish this, but I'll finish the stream, do the show and tell, get some coffee, and head upstairs.
Soですね.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah. Glasses on.
To go outside.
Get ready.
Okay.
See you.
Okay. See you soon. Thank you. It's chilly here this morning. Anna-san too, these days, her work, there's another interesting aspect to her work that's happening these days. She is busy training another young lady. Ayano-san, of course, they're having a baby, and I think it's June, I forget, May or June, she's having her baby. So there's been another young lady here, another Naomi-san has been here for the past almost a month now, I guess. And Ayano-san is working together with her to train her up so that when Ayano-san heads off for the baby and then for her maternal leave after that, Naomi-san will be stepping in to do the job. So if you get emails, you may already do this. If you're putting an order in or something about your subscription print, Ayano-san is the first person to respond, but she's also subbing for her now these days. Naomi-san is there. So you may actually start to get mails now from Mokuhankan that are signed by somebody called Naomi. And that's the young lady who will be sitting in for Ayano-san once she goes off to have her baby. Where was I? I still don't know what he's doing. Is he sanding or planing? Is it a sander? I think he's doing something outside. In fact, maybe if we have time, maybe at the very end of this, when we're shutting down the stream, if I just take the camera and point it to the right a bit, we'll probably be able to see what they're doing, if I remember and whatever. So this is the work today. We're simply recreating. We're making a replacement block. One of the original blocks has, the wood has decayed a little bit. This is the, zoom out just a little bit. For the people who've joined later on in the stream here, I'm sorry about this. One of the older blocks from the Doi Hanga set, it actually looks okay, but the wood is decaying in some of the harder spots. And as a result, when the printers try and make their print, we've got things like some vivid white streaks that are coming. And it's very, very difficult to fight. And if we left it, a really good printer could hide this. A printer who doesn't have 50 years of experience cannot. And out of their 50 prints, maybe I would end up rejecting 10 or 15 or 20 of them. So it's much better for me to cut a new block for this now. And it will severely reduce, really, really reduce the number of rejected prints that we end up with. It's a normal part of the work in making woodblock prints of our type. If you've got an edition, a print that is popular, it's going to just keep going for a long, long time. And it's not unusual to be doing this. Our own Mokuhankan productions, we haven't got to this stage yet because, you know, we're only 10, 15, 20 years old. But these are blocks from pre-war. They're 80, 90 years old. And some of these blocks now are really, really coming to the end of their life. And yet we still want to publish this image, so here we go. And remember, there's no legal aspect to this. These prints we are making from this, these are not limited editions. We didn't do some prints and only 100 and now we're going to make some changes. That's not how it works. These are printing plates. They're not edition plates or anything like that. So there's no legal aspect to this. We have to tell the world that we have changed one of these blocks. It's nothing. It's just a piece of wood to make a print on a piece of paper. Nor will the finished prints that we make next week. They won't show this. They won't show second edition or later edition or something like that. The prints will look pretty much exactly the same. You saw me sketch that outline of that mountain by hand. And there's another reason I did that. John asked me, why didn't you just print from the color block? I talked about wanting to make sure that it was lined up properly with the key block. And that was true. But there is another aspect to this. You saw me draw this line by hand. I roughly took an impression from the old color block, but then squinting at it, I just took my pen and drew it down. So it will be possible to tell, once the prints are done, if we look at one of the prints from the older block, which has such and such a curvy line, and then if we put it side by side with one printed from my new block, where those curves, the gross curves will be the same, but the little tiny twists and turns will all be different. So it will be possible, just for fun, it will be possible to tell the difference between blocks made with this new one and blocks made with the original one. It's irrelevant. It's not like one is going to be worth more than the other or something. It's irrelevant. But it's a little quirk of my character, whatever. I would like to see that we could tell these apart, you know. How's our time? Oh, we're there, are we? It's 10:15. Okay, let's do that. We're there. 10:15. SNT. Okay, you've seen how this works. You know what's going to happen. Maybe if Ishikawa-san doesn't need this today or tomorrow, I will leave this work here and we'll finish it off on Saturday. If she needs this later tonight or Friday, I will have to finish it today and you won't see it again. I don't know which one it will be. Let's look at the package prints. I'm going to have to clean up stuff here. Hang on a sec. Let me get my flask out of the way. Actually, while I'm here, while I'm here. Let's do this. So he's rebuilding the door or something. I have no idea what it's going to be. Maybe it'll be another restaurant. Maybe it'll be a cafe again. I don't have a clue. Should we leave it there? Should we just turn around? Let's do this. Let's leave it the other way. Let's leave it that way. Shoop. He's rebuilding the door, I guess. No idea. So he must have been, that sanding must have been, he's working on the outside surface of the building. No idea. None of our business. Maybe in the future street, Saturday Street, maybe let's put the camera this way. If they're working on Saturday or not, I don't know. Okay, let's get in here. Okay, we have some, let's just open it. How am I going to get in? It has. I used to put the camera out that direction. It's been a bit of a long time. I don't know. Part of it's the sunshine. Usually, if it's a sunny day, we have a bit of a problem pointing the camera that direction because that's west and the sun shines right in the camera lens. East. Sorry about that. Layer 1. If we get this done before 9:30. Okay, we have prints today from the Taisho era. This is a pack of stuff that I got from Yahoo Auctions. I bid on it just before leaving for Canada. It wasn't really cheap. I had to bid a few $100s for this. I think the price was maybe 35,000 yen, somewhere around there. So in US dollars, that's going to be about 250 US dollars, somewhere around there. And the prints here may not actually be in the greatest of condition. Dave's reason for purchasing this set was really, I want to look at the old carving, the Taisho era carving. We have here a set of 3 albums. They're all published together. In fact, we talked about that the other day. Remember? Jo Chu Ge? Up, middle, and down. And we have this. We have up. This is volume 1. We have Chu, middle one. And this is very, very stylized. And I would never have been able to read that. If that was by itself, I never would have recognized it as Ge. Not even sure that's what it says. But anyway, whatever. Let's start at the top. And we have Edo. You know what Edo is? Edo Fuzoku Ukiyo-e Taikan. Taikan is encyclopedia, collection of data, storage, whatever, encyclopedia. Ukiyo-e, you know. Edo, you know, the old name for Edo. These are not Edo prints. This was made in the Taisho era. But they are looking back. And Fuzoku, customs, manners, styles, whatever. So it's a collection of ukiyo-e prints, but they're using them to refer to fashion styles and whatever. So Edo Fuzoku just means the old ukiyo-e era. Let's see what we have here. Now, I don't know. There's our table of contents. There's 15 prints in here. This is Mokuroku, the table of contents. Ijo means that's all. We have, again, upper, middle, and lower. 5 prints in each of the 3 albums. Here we go. And we have some superlative damage to the packing paper. I saw the images that the guy put up on the auction, and if they had all been terrible like this, I wouldn't have bid for it. But can we get down it across here? We have some fabulous, fabulous carving. Now the prints actually are not glued in, so what I'm going to be doing, per my usual habit, is I'm going to take the prints out of the package. I'm not going to throw the package away, it's historical interest, but I'm going to get these prints out of this package where they're not going to pick up any more of this grotesque. I don't know what it is. It's not mold, it's not foxing. Is it just, what's it called when things just get old, the oxygen reacts? I don't really know. Anyway, let's go here. We have a Morinobu reproduction here. And this is the era when they were still printing with jet black. You've heard me talk all the time about ukiyo-e prints. They're not black, they're gray. But back here at the beginning of ukiyo-e, they were printing jet black in imitation of real rich, deep brush strokes. These are the prints made of what Michener used to call the singing line. The lines are long and flowing in a nice, rich brush stroke. Here, this is the example. The lines of these people's kimonos. He called it the singing line, and I'm on board with that description. It's early days for ukiyo-e. It's called ukiyo-e, shokki ukiyo-e, early era ukiyo-e. And the original print of this, from which this is reproduction, would be, it's going to be 1693 or something like that. So the album we're looking at, these 15 prints, are going to give us an overview, an overlay of ukiyo-e history. Next one, Okumura Masanobu. And we're going to see an overview too of the techniques. That first print we saw was just black. When that was made, the original, not this reproduction, when the original was made, color printing hadn't been invented. And this next one we see is the same. You see a couple of colors here. There's a rusty red and a pale, pale brown, which is almost looks like some of the toning on the paper. These are hand painted. The print, the black areas of the print are carved. So it looks like my color separation marker. It does. This is, it's the old color called tan, T-A-N. And I think it's a kind of red lead. I don't know. It's not a color anybody would use anymore because it decays and oxidizes so much. But back then it was common. This will be maybe 1710, 1720, the original. This reproduction is Taisho 5. Watermelon. Let's move on because we're going to see full color stuff. Maybe, you know, I wonder, was the paper patterned that way? Or is this age? What's your guess, ladies and gentlemen? It's possible there was a patterned paper used. I don't know. What I'm looking at is being aged and damaged. This is foxing. We have foxing here on this, but maybe that other paper was patterned. I don't know. Oh, look at this. Kaigetsudo School. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Tori Kiyonobu. It's going to be hard. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
Okay, I really don't want to sort of swivel this book around. This book is almost coming apart, and I have to be really careful with how I do this. So let's leave this in this orientation. And what they've done here, they've done it like Takamizawa used to do. The print that they reproduced was damaged. It was torn at the edges. It had holes in it. Her eye was gone. They've reproduced the damage as well as the print itself. I myself wouldn't do this, but they've done that. They've chopped away and printed to make it look like this is an old object. To me, you get the worst of both worlds. I would simply clean it out, make it look nice. But this is where... No, it is. Clearly, there's no way that was a pattern originally, obviously, because look at this. It's come from contact with oxygen in the place where the paper was, minimizing the contact with oxygen. This hasn't happened. So again, I don't think this is foxing. I think this is more of a what's the word? A reaction from oxygen in the air. I don't know. What do we got next? Let's have a look. Another one. This is another. Everything we've seen so far is not color printed. Everything we've seen, all the colors are added by hand. But the carving, the flow of the lines is spectacular. I'm sorry not to be able to turn it around so you can see it. I'm sorry. I have to be really be careful with this. Everything about it is old and brittle. The packaging, the paper is terrible paper. It wouldn't tear. If I fold this, it would just pop. It would break. Oh, and here we go. No, this also is hand painted. So I guess the first album, everything we have here. No, correction. No, these are now printed. Okay, I thought it was painted. This looks to be printed. I'm sorry. Yes, barren marks on the back. This one is printed. So we have an early example now of the next stage, what was called Beni Zuri E. They were printing with Beni, a pale red color. And that's the red that we see all over this print. Crowd scene, festival day at a shrine, or just a market? I don't know. Actually, I'm really very happy now. I thought this thing was going to be in much worse condition than it is. The prints are actually okay. Look at this. Looking at the photographs, I thought, oh my God, it's going to be an absolute disaster. It's not. I am very happy with this. Couple $100 with shipping, maybe about $300, but there's 15 of these beautiful prints here. I am very happy with this. Someone's saying, is the light coloring the style of the time? Well, I think what we're looking at is pretty authentic here. remember, there's a couple of things. The prints we're looking at are themselves now over 100 years old. So the black lines are not going to be faded. The paper is much more toned than it would have been originally. And any coloring that was done lightly would be a little bit faded, I guess. It hasn't been exposed to sun, but it would be faded. It's really hard to tell what it would actually have looked like the day it was made. Okay, I'm not sure what to do, honey. We're at 9:30 here, but there are 3 of these albums, and the ones coming up are the ones that are more interesting. So here's what I'd like to do. Let me just show you a peek at one of these albums now, but let's hold the actual browsing until we have a bit. In fact, let's jump ahead to something on the 3rd one here, just to give you a taste of what's coming up. And then let's save this for later. Here we are. So it's going to be a more traditional type of ukiyo-e for the rest of the books here. And let's come back to these later and go through more carefully. So I'm not trying to tease you. I'm just trying, no teasing here. I'm just showing you what we're going to be doing. Please, please. Teasing is when I sort of promise something and deliver something else, I think. I don't know. Dave here is interested in the carving. And I think we've got some very, very, very nice carving. What I also want to see is whether they've used boxwood inlays on these blocks. It's probably carved in cherry. But did they do any boxwood inlays? Not that I can see. Okay, we'll look at it later. We'll look at it later. Yeah, I'm very happy to get this. Very, very happy. Let's have a look. Look at this. We've got some reaction again between some of the pigments. Some of the pigments behave a different way reacting with the paper. The paper itself is nice, smooth, beautiful, soft paper. Yeah, very happy to get this. Okay, enough for now. We will come back to this book in our next show and tell. What was it? Was there no opening? There was no... Well, it's a different structure than the other books. Soka, okay. Yeah, we will come back to this in our next show and tell. 3 volumes, 15 prints in each volume, a very, very nice collection. Okay, here we are. It's 9:30. I've gone a little bit over time, sorry. Today's Thursday. Next stream will be Saturday morning here, and it will be either perhaps finishing this block. It could be the repair work on the block that Kubota-san sent back the other day, or it could be sizing. I have no idea. It could be something else. We'll see, whatever. I will be here 2 more days, Saturday morning for me, Friday night for you. Yeah, again, so just one more thing I should have got to then. No, those prints then, at the very back, just to show you what's going on. Here we are. Here's the very, just to put this in context. Here is the colophon from the books, and we have Taisho 5. So those 3 albums together come from the 5th year of the Taisho era. Trying to answer questions as we go. There we go. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I'll see you in a couple of days, Saturday morning for me. Off now to get myself a cup of coffee. Thank you very much. See you soon.